You were never in the running. Let's be brutally clear about this from the start. She didn't reject you. Rejection implies you were a candidate. She didn't choose someone else over you. She simply confirmed a pre-existing condition. A condition you broadcast with every hesitant word, every agreeable nod, every single moment you chose comfort over confrontation. She didn't ghost you. She erased you. Task made simple because, in the world of primal attraction and respect, you were barely there to begin with. You were a phantom of good intentions in a world that answers only to strength and demonstrated value. You think her silence is the weapon? No. Her silence is merely the echo of your own. You have been silent about your ambition, silent about your boundaries, silent about your desires. You have spent a lifetime screaming on the inside while presenting a placid, harmless smile to the world. And you have the audacity to wonder why you are not heard? She didn't break your heart. She exposed its faulty engineering. She held a mirror up to you, and instead of seeing a man, you saw a boy waiting for permission. And she, like every woman, is allergic to indecision. She is repulsed by the vacuum of a man without a mission. You weren't dismantled by her actions. You were already a collection of loose parts, held together by the flimsy hope that someone else would come along and assemble you into the man you were supposed to be. You made her the architect of your validation, and she simply refused the job. Picture the scene. It's 11:37 p.m. The room is dark, save for the cold, bluish glow of your phone screen. Your heart is hammering against your ribs, a frantic drumbeat of misplaced hope, because she finally texted you. Fleeting, pathetic moment. You believe this is it. This is the breakthrough. The late-night signal that she finally sees you. And then you read the words. He's being so distant. What do you think I should do? The screen's light seems to dim, the letters blurring into a cruel joke. The weight of the phone in your hand suddenly feels immense, like a stone dragging you down. In that single instant, you are not a potential lover. You are not a competitor. You are not even a man in her eyes. You are a utility. A free emotional resource. A tool to be used to secure the affection of another, more decisive man. You are the strategic consultant for your own romantic defeat. You sit there, in the suffocating silence of your room, and you craft a thoughtful, supportive reply. You help your enemy fortify his position, because the alternative, to state your own intent, to draw a line, to demand respect, is more terrifying than the certainty of this private humiliation. You chose the slow poison of the friend zone over the possibility of a swift, clean death in the arena. There is an old warrior's ethos that states, the greatest and most difficult victory is to conquer yourself. But you have been waging a war on the wrong front. You've been trying to conquer her interest, to win her approval, to solve the puzzle of her attraction. All while your own inner kingdom is in chaos, ruled by tyrants of your own making, the fear of rejection, the addiction to validation, and the desperate need to be liked by everyone. These are not personality traits, they are strategic blunders. They are the 9 fundamental mindsets of self-sabotage that every successful man, either by instinct or by brutal trial and error, has purged from his operating system. What if I told you that every ghosted message, every condescending pat on the shoulder, every time you were called a great friend, was not a random event, but a predictable outcome? What if I told you it was the result of a program you are running, a deeply embedded code of self-betrayal that makes genuine attraction and respect impossible? A set of 9 invisible chains that you yourself wrapped around your own ankles, believing they were the price of being a good guy. The truth is, you are not losing a game you don't know how to play. You are losing a game because you have fundamentally misunderstood the nature of power, not just with women, but within yourself. And until you see those chains, you will do nothing but decorate your own prison cell. Before we descend into the architecture of your own self-sabotage, I have one command. Solidify your intention to change. Press the like button as a first act of defiance against the man you used to be. Subscribe and activate all notifications, because this is not a one-time fix. It is a re-engineering of your entire being. This channel is your new headquarters in this war. And in the comments below, I want you to declare your battleground. Tell me where you are watching from, and share one single moment where you felt your power being taken from you. Or worse, a moment where you willingly gave it away. Anonymize it if you must, but write it down. Drag that memory out from the shadows and into the light. Give that weakness a name so we can begin to target it, dismantle it, and replace it with unshakable strength. Your transformation begins with that one honest admission. Do it now. The fall is never a singular event. It is not a landslide or a sudden collapse. It is a process of erosion, so slow, so quiet, that you don't even notice the ground giving way beneath your feet until you are already in the abyss. You look back and search for the one big mistake, the fatal flaw, the moment of betrayal. But you will not find it, because your authority, your respect, your very presence as a man was not taken from you in a single dramatic heist. You gave it away, piece by piece, in 1,000 silent transactions where you traded a piece of your sovereignty for a moment of her comfort. Let's deconstruct this with the cold precision of a military debriefing. This is the anatomy of your defeat. It begins with the first phase, emotional concession. It happens subtly. She's in a bad mood. Perhaps you have plans to go out with your friends, a pre-existing commitment. She doesn't forbid you from going. She's more sophisticated than that. Instead, she sighs. Her energy fills the room with a heavy, unspoken accusation. She says something like, "It's fine. You go have fun. I'll just stay here." It's a test. A brilliant, simple test of your frame. The correct response, the response of a man whose world does not revolve around her emotional state, is to acknowledge her feelings, confirm your love or affection, and then proceed with your plans. I understand you're feeling down, and we'll talk about it when I get back. I'll see you in a few hours. But that is not what you did. You saw her displeasure as a problem you needed to solve. Her unhappiness became your failure. So you caved. You said, "You know what? It's not important. I'll stay." In that moment, you taught her a critical lesson. Her negative emotions are a tool to control your behavior. You handed her the remote control to your life. She tested. You yielded. She won. This wasn't a compromise. It was a surrender. You didn't choose her. You chose to escape the discomfort of her disapproval. And she knows the difference. This leads directly into the second phase, the loss of control and the quest for validation. Once you've established the precedent that her emotional state dictates your actions, you begin to lose your own internal compass. You start walking on eggshells. Before making a decision, a part of your mind is now occupied with a constant, looping question. What will she think of this? Will this make her happy? Will this upset her? You stop suggesting activities you enjoy and start suggesting only things you know she likes. Your opinions on movies, music, even politics begin to soften and mirror hers. You are no longer a distinct entity. You are becoming a satellite, your orbit defined entirely by her gravitational pull. This is where the incessant texting begins. The good morning texts not born of affection, but of anxiety. The "what are you up to?" messages sent not out of curiosity, but as a desperate ping to confirm your connection still exists. You are seeking validation. You are asking for permission to feel secure. Every reply she sends is a small dose of a drug, and every delayed reply sends you into withdrawal. You believe you are showing her how much you care, but what you are actually broadcasting is your own terrifying emptiness. You are showing her that your sense of well-being is entirely outsourced to her, and there is nothing less attractive than a man who needs a woman to feel like a man. Consider this scenario. You're at a party with her. Another man, confident and relaxed, engages her in a conversation. He makes her laugh. You watch from across the room. Poison of insecurity begins to flood your system. What do? The man with an unshakable frame remains where he is. He trusts in his own value. He continues his own conversation, projecting an aura of confidence that will naturally draw her back to him. You don't do that. You feel the panic rising. You see a threat. So you move in. You awkwardly insert yourself into their conversation. Put your arm around her, a clumsy, territorial gesture. You try to steer the conversation back to yourself. You are not acting out of strength. You are acting out of fear. You are trying to control the situation because you have lost control of yourself. She feels this. He feels this. Everyone in the room feels this. You think you are protecting your territory, but you are only announcing to the world that you are terrified of losing it. You have become the prison guard of your own relationship, and she, by extension, is your prisoner. And every prisoner dreams of escape. This downward spiral accelerates into the third phase, affective dependency. At this point, your emotional equilibrium is completely fused with hers. Her good mood means you can have a good day. Her bad mood means your day is ruined. Her silence is no longer just silence. It is a weapon of mass destruction. It's a Friday night. You had a disagreement on Thursday. She hasn't texted you all day. The rational mind knows people are busy. The rational mind understands that space is healthy, but your mind is no longer rational. It is the mind of an addict deprived of his substance. The hours tick by. 6 p.m., 8 p.m., 10 p.m. Every minute is a fresh torment. You check your phone 100 times. You craft a dozen texts and delete them. You are in a self-imposed torture chamber. This is the point where you break one of the cardinal rules of power. You break the silence. You send the text, "Are we okay?" or "Are you still mad at me?" With those few words, you have given her everything. You have communicated that her silence is more powerful than your peace of mind. You have shown her that you cannot tolerate the tension, that you will always fold first just to release it. Her silence is dominance, not inattention. By responding to it with pleading, you have confirmed her superior position in the emotional hierarchy. She now knows, with absolute certainty, that she has the power to unravel you by simply doing nothing at all. She controls the frame of the entire interaction without saying a single word. Think about it in a professional context. You're in a negotiation. You've made your offer. The other party says nothing. They just look at you, silent. The amateur gets nervous. Silence feels like pressure. He starts talking again, sweetening the deal, explaining his position, filling the void. He is negotiating against himself. The master negotiator understands the power of the void. He makes his offer, and then he shuts up. He is comfortable in the silence because he is confident in his position. The first person to speak loses. In your relationship, you are always the first to speak. You are constantly negotiating against yourself, offering more of your dignity, more of your power, just to close the deal and end the terrible, crushing silence. Finally, we arrive at the fourth and most devastating phase, the surrender of the apology. This is the moment you apologize for something that is not your fault. Final, unconditional surrender. She accuses you of something absurd. Perhaps she's angry that you didn't read her mind and know she wanted a different kind of food for dinner. Or she's upset about a dream she had where you wronged her. It's irrational. You know it's irrational. Your first instinct is to defend yourself, to use logic. But you've learned from the previous phases that your logic is irrelevant. The conflict isn't about the issue at hand. It is about her emotional state. You are now programmed to believe that her emotional state is your responsibility. The argument escalates. The tension becomes unbearable. You are exhausted. You just want it to be over. So, you say the words. You're right, sorry. You don't believe it. She probably doesn't even believe it. But it doesn't matter. The words have been spoken. When you apologized, you signed your surrender. You have officially validated her irrationality. You have agreed to a reality in which your perspective does not matter. You have taught her that no matter how unreasonable her position, if she applies enough emotional pressure, you will eventually break and accept her frame as the dominant one. You are no longer an equal partner in a relationship. You are a subject in her emotional kingdom, and your primary role is to maintain her peace at the cost of your own. You may be listening to this, and a voice in your head is screaming objections. But relationships are about compromise. I was just being a good, sensitive partner. Let's dismantle that flawed logic right now. Compromise is a negotiation between two sovereign entities, two centers of power. It is two people standing on solid ground, deciding to each take a step toward the middle. What you have been doing is not compromise, it is capitulation. Is one person abandoning their ground entirely and crawling over to the other side. You weren't compromising on a preference, you were compromising on your principles. You weren't being sensitive, you were being subservient. A truly strong and valuable partner is a rock, a pillar she can rely on, not a puddle that takes the shape of whatever container she pours it into. She doesn't want a servant who agrees with everything she says. She wants a man who has his own reality, his own mission, his own principles, and who invites her to be a part of it. By sacrificing your own reality for hers, you didn't become a better partner. You became a less interesting, less respectable man. Another objection. But I was just trying to avoid fights. I wanted peace. You didn't achieve peace. You achieved a temporary ceasefire on her terms. True peace is the absence of conflict born from mutual respect and stable boundaries. The quiet you bought with your surrender is the tense, fragile quiet of a hostage situation. It is the silence of a conquered territory. Every time you said yes when you meant no. Every time you apologized to quell a storm. Every time you abandoned your own plans to manage her emotions, you were not building a peaceful home. You were decorating your own prison cell. The fall wasn't visible. It happened in the silence of your own mind, in the hesitation before you spoke, in the yes that was born of fear, not conviction. It was in the text you sent when you should have maintained your silence. It was in the plans you canceled when you should have held your frame. It was a death by 1,000 small concessions. This isn't just theory. This is a diagnostic of your life. And it's not just about her. Look at your workplace. The boss who asks you to stay late again. You say yes because you don't want to seem like you're not a team player. You are trading your personal time for his approval. He doesn't respect you more. He just expects more from you. Look at your friends. The one who always asks for favors but is never there when you need him. You keep giving because you fear the conflict of saying no. You are not his friend. You are his resource. The pattern is the same. The root cause is the same. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of power and a deep-seated fear of disapproval. This is the program you are running, and it is leading you to the same outcome in every area of your life. If this diagnosis is hitting you with the force of a physical blow, it is because it is the truth. Now is the time to decide if you will continue to be the architect of your own defeat. If you are ready to stop the erosion, then take the first step. Solidify your commitment. Press the like button as a declaration of war against your own weakness. Subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications, because this is your new strategic command center. And now, I want you to perform a crucial intelligence operation. In the comments below, I want you to answer this one, brutally honest question. Think back to the last time you apologized when you knew you were right. What was the real reason you did it? Was it for peace? Or was it because you were afraid of the silence and disapproval that would follow if you didn't? Name that fear. Drag it into the light. Your path to reclaiming your power begins with that single, unflinching admission. The most dangerous part of this entire process is that you were taught to see these weaknesses as virtues. Society told you that being agreeable, accommodating, and selfless was the key to being a good guy. They sold you a faulty map and then act surprised when you end up lost in the desert. You were taught to put her needs first, always. But they forgot to mention the critical corollary. You must first have needs of your own. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot lead from a position of servitude. You were told that a happy wife means a happy life, but you misinterpreted it as a command to become the court jester, constantly juggling to keep the queen amused. The real meaning is that a man with a strong, fulfilling, and purpose-driven life, a happy life, creates an environment where a woman can be happy. She is a welcome addition to your world, not the center of it. Your world must have a center that is entirely your own, your mission, your purpose, your principles. He tested you, and you failed. This is not an indictment to shame you. It is a diagnosis to empower you. You failed because you didn't know you were being tested. You thought it was a conversation about dinner plans or a simple question about your evening. You did not realize it was a subtle probe of your boundaries, a test of your internal strength. Women are constantly, subconsciously testing the men in their lives. They are testing the structural integrity of your frame. Is he a rock, or is he sand? Can I build my future on him, or will he crumble under the first sign of pressure? Every time you conceded, you sent back a report that read, structural integrity, poor, foundation, unstable, not suitable for building. You cannot be angry at her for testing you. It is her biological and psychological imperative. You must be angry at yourself for being unprepared for the test. You must be relentless in forging a new internal structure, one made of steel, not of straw. No one is going to save you. No one is coming to hand you a spine. That is a project you must undertake yourself, in the dark, in the quiet, through brutal self-assessment and unwavering discipline. A man who apologizes for his own existence will soon find his existence erased. The choice, right now, is whether you will continue to hold the eraser, or if you will finally pick up the pen and write a different story. There is no going back for the weak. There is only the construction of the new. Let that sink into your bones, burn it into your mind. The man who apologized to keep the peace, the man who canceled his plans to manage her moods, the man who answered her late-night texts about another man, that man must die. Not be improved, not be tweaked, not be reformed. He must be executed. You must hold a funeral for him in the quiet of your own mind, and you must walk away from that grave without looking back. Because any attempt to salvage that broken framework is an act of self-betrayal. You cannot build a skyscraper on a foundation of mud. You must excavate the entire site, drive new pylons deep into the bedrock, and begin again. This is not an emotional journey of self-discovery. This is a cold, tactical demolition and reconstruction. Your feelings are irrelevant. Your nostalgia for what you thought you had is a liability. Your hope is a poison. From this moment forward, you operate on strategy, not sentiment. Your first command is this: cut the excess. Your life is bloated with low-value activities, low-value people, and low-value thoughts that drain your energy and reinforce. Every minute you spend scrolling through her social media is a minute you are not spending in the gym. Every ounce of mental energy you expend trying to decipher her last message is energy you are not investing in your business. Every conversation where you are playing the role of the supportive friend is a strategic surrender of your time and authority. You will conduct a ruthless audit of your life. Open your calendar, your phone contacts, your bank statements. Everything and everyone is now on trial. The single question for judgment is, does this make me stronger? Does this move me closer to my mission? If the answer is no, you cut it. Without ceremony, without explanation, without guilt. You are a general preparing for the most important campaign of your life. You cannot afford to carry dead weight. Your second command: install the silence. Your greatest weakness was your terror of the void. Her silence sent you into a panic. Her disapproval felt like a physical threat. You babbled, you explained, you pleaded, you apologized. Anything to fill the silence. You were a walking noise machine of insecurity. Now, silence becomes your native language. It becomes your shield and your sword. This is not a passive act. It is an active installation of a new operating system. The first tactical application of this is to reinstate scarcity. You must disappear. Not in a dramatic, "I'm leaving" announcement. That is a plea for a reaction. That is weak. You disappear completely, suddenly, and without a trace. You become a ghost. No more good morning texts. No more viewing her stories. No more liking her posts. No more being a passive satellite in her digital orbit. You sever all lines of communication that you initiated. You unplug your end of the machine. Why? Because your constant availability has rendered you worthless. You were the 24-hour convenience store of emotional support. Always open, always there, and therefore, never valued. True value is rooted in scarcity. Diamonds are not valuable because they are useful. They are valuable because they are rare. Your attention, your time, your energy, this is your currency. And you have been handing it out for free to anyone who would take it. By disappearing, you are not playing a game. You are correcting the market. You are taking your product off the shelves to force a re-evaluation of its worth. In the beginning, she may not even notice. That is how little you mattered. But eventually, the silence will become a presence. The void where you used to be will start to take up space in her mind. She will reach a moment where she expects your validation, your response, your comforting presence, and she will be met with absolute nothingness. In that moment of nothingness, your value begins to climb. She will ask herself, where did he go? And for the first time, she is the one expending mental energy on you, not the other way around. You have flipped the flow of power. This leads to the third command: control the reaction. She will eventually reach out. It is inevitable. It will not be a heartfelt apology. It will be a probe, a low-effort text, a meme, a simple, hey. She is not trying to reconnect. She is checking if the remote control still works. She is pressing the button to see if you still respond. And in the past, that simple hey would have sent a jolt of adrenaline through your system. You would have replied in seconds, overjoyed that she had thrown you a crumb. You would have lost. The new protocol is to impose silence. When that text arrives, you do nothing. You read it, and you put your phone down. You go back to the gym. You go back to your work. You go back to your life. The urge to respond will feel like a physical craving. Your mind, addicted to her validation, will scream at you to answer. This is the withdrawal. You must endure it. Every hour that you do not respond, you are rewiring your own brain. You are teaching yourself that your peace of mind is not dependent on her communication. More importantly, you are teaching her that you are no longer a trained animal who performs on command. Not responding is an act of supreme dominance. It communicates several things without a single word. It says, I have seen your message, and I have deemed it unimportant. It says, my world does not stop when you reach out. It says, you are no longer a priority in my life. It creates a vacuum of uncertainty in her mind. She is used to immediate responses, to predictable patterns. Your silence is a pattern break. It forces her to question her own status. It makes her wonder what you are doing that is more important than her. You have seized control of the frame. The one who needs the response is the one with less power. By refusing to need it, and by refusing to give it, you become the one with more. Be an absence that weighs heavily, not a presence that begs. When and if you choose to re-engage, it must be on your terms, following a new protocol of minimal and unpredictable interaction. You wait days and then decide to reply. Your response must be short, emotionless, and must not ask a question. Her text, hey, how are you? Your reply 3 days later, good, busy with the new project. That's it. You have acknowledged, but you have not invited further conversation. You have signaled a new reality where your focus is on your mission, not on her. Your interactions must be unpredictable. Do not establish a new routine. Sometimes you might reply in a few hours, sometimes in a week, sometimes never. The goal is to keep her completely off balance. She must never feel that she has figured you out again. You are no longer a predictable algorithm. You are a force of nature. Calm, powerful, and utterly unpredictable. The man who wants to be loved will be discarded. The man who imposes his presence will be feared. Fear is a far more potent and lasting form of respect than affection born of pity. But these are all defensive maneuvers. They are about building walls and controlling the flow of information. The true war is won on the offensive. The silence you create is not for sitting in a dark room and meditating on your pain. That is the ultimate waste. The silence is the sound of construction. It is the time you have reclaimed to build the new you. This construction is focused on one thing and one thing only: raising your position in the hierarchy, not just in her eyes, but in the eyes of the world, and most importantly, in your own. This is a total focus on your social, physical, financial, and symbolic value. First, the physical. You will treat your body like a machine of war. The gym is your new headquarters. Every single rep, every drop of sweat, is an act of defiance against the weak man you were. You are not training to look good for her. That is supplicating. You are training to forge discipline. You are building physical armor. You are learning to endure pain and push past your limits. The physical transformation is merely a byproduct of the mental transformation that happens when you commit to a physical regimen. When you walk into a room, your presence should be felt before you speak. This is not about being the biggest man in the room. It is about carrying yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who is in complete control of his own physical vessel. Second, the financial. You will become obsessed with your economic power. Whether it's your career, your own business, or your investments, you will channel all the energy you once wasted on her into building your empire. Money is not the root of all evil, it is the ultimate tool of freedom. It buys you options, it removes dependencies. It allows you to build the life you want, on your own terms. A man who is financially weak is always, on some level, a supplicant. He needs things from the world. A man who is financially powerful is a sovereign. The world needs things from him. Attack your work with a ferocity you have never known. Become so good at what you do that you become indispensable. Bank account is a scoreboard, and you are now playing to win. Third, the social. You will aggressively expand your social circle. Not to make her jealous, but to build a life that is genuinely rich and fulfilling without her. The nice guy often has a small, insular world that revolves around his romantic interest. When she leaves, his world collapses. The powerful man has a vast, dynamic social ecosystem. He has male friends who hold him to a high standard. He has hobbies and interests that bring him into contact with new people. He builds a network. This accomplishes two things. It demonstrates pre-selection and high social value. People see him surrounded by others who value his company, which inherently raises his status. More importantly, it makes him genuinely less needy. His happiness and sense of belonging are not tied to one person. He has a tribe. He is the center of his own social world, not a guest in someone else's. Fourth, and most critically, the symbolic. This is your mission, your purpose. The thing that gets you out of bed in the morning with a fire in your gut. It must be something bigger than a woman, bigger than money, bigger than yourself. It could be building a business, mastering a craft, creating art, or pursuing a cause you believe in. A man without a mission is a ship without a rudder, drifting aimlessly, tossed about by the emotional currents of others. He is fundamentally unattractive because he has no direction. A man with a mission is a battleship. He has a destination. He cuts through the waves. He has a powerful, gravitational pull. People are either on board with his mission, or they get out of his way. Your mission becomes your new North Star. It is the source of your internal validation. When you are aligned with your purpose, the approval or disapproval of any single person becomes background noise. You are no longer seeking to be chosen by her. You are the one who is choosing what to do with your time, who to spend it with, and what legacy you will build. This is not a hope. This is a plan, a blueprint for a hostile takeover of your own life. You will not feel your way through this. You will execute. You will be methodical. You will be ruthless. You will wake up each day with a clear set of objectives. Train, build, connect, advance. You will measure your progress not by her responses, but by the numbers in your bank account, the weight on the barbell, and the progress of your mission. You will stop trying to reconquer her affection. Don't reconquer. Replace with a sharper silence. A silence filled with the noise of your own success. You will become a man whose absence is felt more profoundly than his presence ever was. This is the path. It is not easy. It will require you to kill the weakest parts of yourself. But the man you will build in their place will be unrecognizable. He will be a man who commands respect not by asking for it, but by his very existence. He will be the architect of his own reality. You are truly ready to begin this demolition and start laying the foundation for this new man. Then take your first tactical action right now. Press the like button as a symbolic gesture of destroying the old you. Subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications to ensure you receive all future strategic briefings. This is your new command center. And now, I want you to make a public declaration in the comments below. Every great empire starts on a specific date. Every new life begins at what we can call year zero. In the comments, I want you to answer this. If you could go back and witness the one single moment where you gave away your power most completely, the moment you apologized when you weren't wrong, the moment you caved when you should have stood firm, what would you say to the man you were in that exact instant? Give him one final command before you leave him in the past. Your war starts with that declaration. Define your year zero. Now, let us return to the beginning. The cold blue light of a screen in a dark room. To the man you were. For months, you have been following the protocol. You executed the plan. You demolished the old structure and poured a new foundation, not of hope, but of concrete and steel. You have been in the gym, in the office, in the world, building. The silence you created was not empty. It was the deafening sound of your own construction. And then, one night, it happens. The phone vibrates on the nightstand. Same cold blue light. It's her. But the message is different now. The words are not a casual probe about another man. They are a targeted strike, designed to breach the walls you have built. I saw your company was featured in that article. I'm so proud of you. I think about you a lot. A pause, then a second message. I made a mistake. The man you were would have felt a surge of triumphant adrenaline. His heart would have hammered against his ribs, not with anxiety, but with vindication. He would have seen this as the finish line, the victory. He would have crafted a response, perhaps a cold one, perhaps a magnanimous one. But he would have responded. He would have re-engaged. He would have sat back down at the board to play the final moves of a game he believed he had finally won. But you pick up the phone. You read the words. You see them for what they are. A final, desperate attempt to regain control. A bid to re-enter the reality you have built. A reality that no longer requires her validation. You feel nothing. Not anger. Not joy. Not even pity. You feel the quiet, profound emptiness of indifference. It is the feeling of looking at a photograph of a stranger. You don't block her. Blocking is an emotional response. It is an acknowledgement that her communication has an effect on you that must be actively stopped. That would be giving her a final, small victory. Instead, you do something far more devastating. You put the phone down, you turn off the screen, and you go to sleep. Her message is left floating in a digital void, seen but unanswered, a final unheard scream into the abyss. It will remain there, a permanent monument to her irrelevance. This was never about her. You believe this entire process, this brutal transformation, was a long-term strategy to win her back. You have failed the final test. You have mistaken the means for the end. The goal was never to reconquer her. The goal was to make her conquest so utterly insignificant that the very thought becomes laughable. Ultimate revenge is not her regret. The ultimate revenge is your indifference to that regret. Her suffering is not your victory. Your victory is that her emotional state, whether it is happiness, sadness, or desperation, is no longer capable of registering on your own. You did not flip the chessboard in a fit of rage. You simply stood up and walked away from the table because you realized you were busy building an empire and you no longer had time for children's games. Respect is not something you are given. It is not something you can ask for. It is a consequence. It is the inevitable byproduct of raw, demonstrated power. You do not gain a lion's respect by pleading with it. You gain its respect by building a fortress it cannot breach, by commanding a force it cannot challenge, by creating a reality in which you are the apex predator, and it is merely a creature in your domain. Your absence became your fortress. Your success became your army. Your new life became your domain. You did not demand her respect. You made her respect for you an unavoidable condition of her reality. She can look at your life from the outside, but she no longer has the security clearance to enter it. Silence she once used as a weapon to control you has now become the very fabric of the wall that separates her world from yours. She is on the outside, listening to the echoes of the life you are living without her. A life that is louder, richer, and more powerful than she could have ever imagined. The weak man believes in closure. He believes in the final conversation, the dramatic confrontation, the moment where everything is said and understood. The powerful man understands that true closure is not an event. It is a state of being. It is the quiet hum of a life so focused on its own mission that the ghosts of the past no longer have the oxygen to speak. You will not give her that final conversation. You will not give her the satisfaction of an explanation. Your new life is the explanation. Your success is the final word. Your silence is the period at the end of a story she is no longer a part of. She didn't reject you. She revealed to you the man you were not yet strong enough to be. You should thank her for that, not with words, but by building a legacy so immense that her name becomes a forgotten footnote in your biography. You were never in the running, that's true. But you were never meant to be in that race. You were meant to own the entire stadium. This is your final command. You will seal this transformation not with a feeling, but with a decision. A commitment to this new reality, this new power. Solidify that commitment now. Press the like button as a final act of burying the old you. Subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications, because your evolution is ongoing, and this is the strategic command that will guide you. And in the comments below, I want you to answer one final critical question. The story is over. The chapter is closed. You have won, not by her standards, but by your own. When she inevitably tells her friends about the man who got away, what will be the one single undeniable achievement of your new life that she will be forced to mention? Define the legacy that will haunt her. Write it down. Make it real. The silence she gave you as a punishment is the only answer she will ever receive.